Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining from. Welcome to the ninth episode of the ServiceDesk Plus Cloud Masterclass 2025. More specifically, welcome to the episode where we'll discuss a lot of the high value AI capabilities in the cloud version of ServiceDesk Plus. Let me introduce myself. I'm Siddharth. I'm a product expert with the Manage Engine ServiceDesk Plus team, and I'll be walking you through all of the predictive, generative, and conversational AI capabilities we have today in the platform. Now, today in this session, we will be showcasing the Enterprise Edition of ServiceDesk Plus. So, a quick walkthrough over what every edition in ServiceDesk Plus encompasses. So, the Standard Edition offers ticketing capabilities with no-code automation, visual request workflows, self-service portal, knowledge base, SLA management, and reporting. In the Professional Edition, we offer end-to-end IT asset management capabilities in addition to the Standard Edition. This includes multimodal asset discovery, software asset management, asset loan, inventory management, and purchase and contracts management. In the Enterprise Edition, we offer all of the capabilities available in the Service Desk Plus Cloud platform, starting with ticketing to ITAM, service catalog, problem management, and all the way up to IT project management. Now, please note that our AI capabilities are available across all editions with certain limitations which are restricted only to the Enterprise Edition. We will discuss more about it throughout this session today. And here's a quick overview of the agenda we have for you. We will talk about the latest AI release in Service Desk Plus, which is Ask Zia, an LLM-style conversational virtual agent. We'll also discuss how you can power up all of the GenAI capabilities in Service Desk Plus, including Ask Zia, with 3 different LLM providers, which also includes Zia LLM, which is our own native LLM powered by open source foundational models. We'll also discuss how you can receive contextual solution recommendations within Ask Zia, how you can converse with it with multi-turn conversations, perform ticketing actions, and a whole lot more throughout this session today. And before we actually dive into the product, if you are someone who's looking to make the most out of your Service Desk Plus Cloud instance, we are running a dedicated free consultation program where you would have a live 1-hour session with one of our product experts who will work with you to understand the level of your current product adoption. They will then work with you to develop a personalized list of capabilities which you can then enable in the platform and move your service management maturity up a notch. So I'll give you some time to scan the QR code and make the most out of this free consultation program. All right. So with that, let's start off with our session. We'll first discuss how Ask Zia functions within Service Desk Plus and empowers every service desk persona, from end users, technicians, all the way up to process owners. So let me quickly jump into the Service Desk Plus Cloud application right now. Let me quickly refresh the screen. I have logged in as an end user right now, and this is how the IT self-service portal now looks like. Previously, you would have you would have seen the Ask Zia Q&A chatbot on the right-hand side bottom toolbar over here. But now, with the newly revamped Ask Zia, you would have it right on the toolbar on the left-hand side or on the top bar, depending on your configuration. And this is an LLM-styled interface. So let's quickly have, ask a query to Ask Zia and see how it responds. So we're having an error code. I'm just going to add it over here. And let's see what Ask Zia would help me do. So let's quickly probably attach an image as well. And this is the blue screen of death. And I'm saying I'm encountering this BSOD error. So what Ask Zia will now do is that it will understand the image, it will process my query, and it will then understand or try to help me out with the curated list of knowledge articles which are present within the system. And then if none of such knowledge-based articles are available, it's going to leverage its public LLM knowledge to provide me with the next steps to troubleshoot this incident by myself, right? And if this does not help me, I would have the option to create an incident or chat with a technician. Now, let's also ask Zia another question. So let's say we need its help in resetting our SAP password. Now, what happens here is, let me quickly refresh the screen. Should be a cache error. Let me say, please help me. Now, what happens here is typically, Azia would understand and browse through the knowledge base. Um, Let me quickly give it some more information. So after we clarify Ask Zia's clarifications, we would receive a curated knowledge summary. I will showcase this capability later on as well. Now let us also log an incident for this specific incident. So I've given the subject line, and let's say the priority is high. So first, Azia would understand if there are any relevant knowledge base articles that are available. So then it gives me an exact listing of the articles that would help me out. This is powered by retrieval augmented generation. So Ask Zia trains on the knowledge base solutions that you add into ServiceDesk Plus. It would first try to understand if there is something that it can help you with before proceeding to create an incident. So we just go ahead and create an incident. Let's say that we would want to log this incident with a default request. Immediately the form loads up, and what you can see over here is it has automatically pre-filled the subject line, and within the description it has added the entire chat history that we just had with Asia, so that the technician who responds to this ticket would now be able to troubleshoot it better. I'm just going to click on and fill up this mandatory field over here and add this request. So the request has been added right now. Now let's see how ASIA would also help technicians go about their daily work. So right now, I'm transitioning into the administrator's login, and let's ask ASIA about a list of all requests assigned to me with a high priority. Well, what happens here is that ASIA would sift through all of the tickets. It would then identify exactly those tickets that are assigned to me and those which have been logged with the high priority. You would see that this is very similar to the request list view that you would typically see when you step into this tab right over here. But over here, you just see a curated view of all the incidents. Now, let's say we would want to add a note to one of these incidents. I'm just going to say, or let me actually get the prompt from over here. So we just want to add a note to ticket 1925 where the a requester has reported a blue screen of death, and we want to make it visible only to technicians. What happens here is ASIA confirms with me whether this is the request ID, whether this is the right content which needs to go into the note, and whether we need to show it to the requester or not. So let's go ahead and confirm that this is right. And what happens is ASIA would go ahead and add the note successfully. You can verify it from right within the ASIA interface. Scroll down, and over here is the actual note that we just added. And if you feel the need to perform any kind of actions within the ticket, you could do it simply from this interface and get back into ASIA and continue to have the conversation. If you notice, in the previous version of ASIA, which used to be a classic chatbot, it used to function in a Q&A mode. where you ask a question, it answers it, but the next question is treated as an entirely new conversation. That is not the case with the new revamped Ask Zia. It retains the context. It knows that we're referring to ticket 1925. It knows that we are talking about a specific note in that ticket and adds the note successfully. This is what we mean by a multi-turn conversation. So let us see how you can enable it in your own Service Desk instances. So let me open up the setup panel in a new tab. Now, within the setup panel, you'll need to navigate to Zia and click on the Zia chatbot. Now, this interface might look slightly different, but you would have the chatbot customization option. So all you need to do is click on customize over here and choose the conversational bot type. Please note that if you're using blended conversations, if you want to have conversations where everything is predefined as part of a conversational workflow, that is available in the classic bot type, but the LLM styled multi-turn conversational interface is part of the conversational bot type. Once you set it up, provide the bot name. Ask Zia is available by default, but you can go ahead and change it, modify the bot theme, and provide a different bot avatar or even add your own icons. And you can also customize the welcome message. And under bot settings, you can choose to make it available to all the requesters, enable image upload option, or even enable voice input. Yes, you heard it right. Ask Zia is multimodal in nature. You can type out your queries, you can upload images, or you can speak with it. Your voice is transcribed and treated as the query to Ask Zia. And it can also search for solutions from external sources. If you notice, that's what happened initially. When it did not find a solution within the knowledge base, it would search through its public LLM knowledge and provide any help that it can find. And apart from these capabilities, you can also enable Help Center and Analytics Plus. We will come to both of these capabilities in a short period of time. Now, let's go back to the slide deck and see how far we've arrived. So we did discuss Ask Zia, and we discussed some of these capabilities. Now, the most important part is, how do I power up Ask Zia and unlock its LLM capabilities? So right over Ask Zia, you can click on the three dots over here and click on Configure AI Provider. You can choose between Zia LLM, which is powered by open source foundational models, in this case, Qwen 2.5, or choose between ChatGPT and Azure OpenAI. Now, if you are someone accessing Ask Zia and the ServiceDesk Plus Cloud instance from the UK data center, we are working to bring Zia LLM to UK data center, but it's available across other data centers. But Ask Zia would work for you if you enable either ChatGPT or the Azure OpenAI integration. Now, the advantage here is that when Zia LLM is available right out of the box, it would help you to get started right away. And let's say that your organization has some kind of an enterprise subscription to either ChatGPT or Azure OpenAI. You would be able to conserve your token consumption on those advanced models available over there and use Zia instead, and then reserve its usage for some of the other GenAI capabilities we are going to discuss just in some time. Now, I'll also quickly take a detour and show you how to enable the ChatGPT and the Azure OpenAI integration. For this, let's get back into the setup panel, and under apps and add-ons, we have integrations. So under third-party integrations, you would have to go ahead and enable either ChatGPT or Azure OpenAI. You would need an API key from either of these LLM service providers and to enable this integration. Please note that within a specific Service Desk Plus instance, you would be able to use either one of these integrations at a time, right? Now, let's go ahead and see what is the next set of AI capabilities we're going to discuss. So we just discussed how Zia can help end users. We saw how it delivers knowledge recommendation. Basically, it summarizes internal KB articles, includes citations to them, and it can hold a contextual conversation, can pull up ticket details, perform tasks, all from within the Ask Zia interface. We also discussed how it worked better for technicians, accelerating their daily work. But let's go ahead and see some of the other capabilities that are available within Zia. So let's get back into the instance. And let me open up one of the tickets that we just logged. So opening up the request list view, and we have the blue screen of death ticket over here. Now, if I look through the history tab, and let me go right to the bottom when the ticket was logged, you would find that the category and the group were auto-assigned by Zia. Yes, Zia has predictive AI capabilities wherein it would be able to train on your own service desk data. It needs a minimum of 100 tickets to get started. And from then on, our own proprietary ML algorithms would be able to provide these predictions and even auto apply them for some of the fields. So let's quickly discuss what are these capabilities. So let me step back into the setup panel, and under artificial intelligence, we have the predictive features. So we have a range of predictions available for requests. You can predict the right template, category, subcategory, item, priority, or even the group that needs to work on this ticket. Now, some of these predictions can be auto applied. And like you see, some of these prediction rates are at 96%, 92%, and they will keep on increasing as we add more tickets. Now, these predictions would work best depending on the underlying data. So we would appreciate it and we would encourage you to keep adding more tickets with these fields filled in so that Zia can constantly keep training on your tickets, right? And let me also show you how some of these tickets or some of these predictions would work when a ticket is edited. So let me open up uh, the request list view, and let's open up the latest ticket that we just logged. Clicking on edit, right from the template, you can see that Zia starts suggesting the right values from the template to the subcategory all the way to the priority. So let me open up the technician, for example. You would see that Zia has its own suggestions and it has actually assigned it to Manoj, who is part of the Zia predictions, right? So this way, you will be able to ensure that in cases where you do not have an automation rule set up for routing tickets or categorizing them, Zia would be able to fill in the gaps, right? So that is all about some of the predictive AI capabilities in Service Desk Plus. Let's dive into the ticket and explore some of the generative AI capabilities. So we'll go back to incident 1925. Now, typically, sometimes tickets get reassigned, they get escalated. And in such cases, if there's someone new stepping in to handle the ticket, they would need a lot of context, right? And if you look through this ticket, there are a lot of conversation notes added. Until now, this has been a good model of collaboration, but with the advent of GenAI, you can simply make use of the conversation summary. So let me quickly click on regenerate. Yes. And what happens here is Zia's conversation summary would help you to gain an instant clarity over how this ticket has progressed, what are some of the updates that have happened, and it helps you gain context at a glance, basically. So let me quickly, oh yeah, we have it here. So we get the details on who is experiencing the issue, what are the notes, and what information they convey. You can choose to even elaborate the conversation summary, copy it, or if you feel that the resolution to this ticket is part of the conversation summary, you can choose to add it to the resolution straight away. And you can see that the entire conversation summary is now part of the prompt. All you need to do is simply click on generate, and the resolution gets generated. Now, what happens here is that you can even choose a specific template which this resolution should follow, change the length of the generated resolution, the tone, and if you are managing a centralized service desk supporting employees across regions with multilingual requirements, you can always translate the generated content into different languages. So let me just pick up one of these languages, and you would find that the entire generated resolution is instantly translated. So that is the extent or the range of capabilities available within the Zia Resolution Assist. Let me go back into the ticket, and you would find that there are certain emojis added against specific conversations, right? Now, this is where sentiment analysis steps in. Zia sentiment analysis is yet another predictive AI capability where it would be able to ascertain what's the emotional state of your end user conversations, and it will assign either a negative sentiment, a neutral sentiment, or a positive sentiment. And you would also receive an overall sentiment score for this particular ticket. And of course, yes, you would also need to track your sentiments across all tickets. And to access that, we'll step back into the setup panel, and under sentiment analysis, we'll click on view predictions. So this dashboard would give you the overall picture of sentiments associated with your service desk, specifically end user sentiments. And we find that for the most part, it is neutral right now. Now, this is a really frustrated user, right? So I would want to generate some kind of a reply to them. So let me quickly copy this particular conversation, click on the reply icon, and right over here, I have the reply assist capability. So I understand their emotional state from sentiment analysis. I will need to swatch their negative sentiments. So I'll click on the prompt, provide the email conversation that I received from that end user, and I will go ahead and click on generate reply. This would immediately generate a cordial reply. And again, you can change the tone, change the length, or even the language if it is necessary, and use it as part of the reply that you are providing to John Xavier, right? So this is how different capabilities come into play simultaneously. And if you're thinking about other fields that are part of your ticket, basically rich text fields like the description, yes, Zia can also support you in generating content for those fields. For example, let me open up one of the rich text fields over here. Let's talk about maybe the notifications, right? So let me quickly pull that up. So we'll navigate to notification rules, click on customize template. And right over here, you have the text assist capability. So across some of the rich text fields, you would be able to provide your prompt and generate text or refine the grammar and spelling associated with it. So the idea here is to simply, eliminate any kind of bureaucratic work that technicians are typically involved in and leverage GenAI to the maximum extent as possible. And yes, before you ask, some of these capabilities can be powered with a choice of your LLM model. Let me quickly go over that. So over here, we click on the GenAI features. Scrolling down, let me open up Reply Assist, configure AI provider. Like I said, you can choose between different AI providers, but you can either use ChatGPT or Azure OpenAI, either one of them simultaneously. You cannot enable both for one single service desk instance. Now, what are some of the other features? Now we've seen how Ask Zia can be used to log a ticket, and we've seen how a technician can chat with Ask Zia and go through their open tickets, adding a note. We've seen how some of the generative AI capabilities. What about approvals? How do we process them? So let me go back into the same ticket. Let's say that there is an urgent build that's going out, and this test device with a blue screen of death needs to be replaced. I would need an approval to my supervisor, right? So I'm going to click on submit for approval. So let me select Michael Smithson, who's my supervisor, and click on send. So the approval gets sent to my supervisor. And what the supervisor does is that they simply log back into their email inbox. Let me quickly refresh the inbox. You have the approval notification right over here. And let's say this is good to go. Regards, Michael. Now, what happens here is Previously, we had approval predictions where uh, Zia would be able to perform approvals automatically using phrases that you would train Zia on. Not anymore. Now we are leveraging LLMs to predict approvals. So the LLM that's powering the request auto approval capability would be able to infer if this is an approval action or if this is a rejection action based on the content of the email. So we'll give it some time for Zia. Let me quickly refresh the ticket. So you see that the request has been approved, and this is through, we have about a couple of approvals. Both were approved automatically by Zia, and the prediction was an approval action depending on the phrase that I used. So this is one more capability within the flow of your work that AI can help you out. Now we say that we have provided them with a test machine, and we need to, provide them with a resolution and build a knowledge base article. How would we proceed? Within the ticket, I can leverage resolution assist. And typically, before, you would have to provide the resolution manually or copy paste it from an internal KB or a note that you would have on your Mac. Not anymore. You can generate the resolution directly from some of the conversations you've had or through a selected conversation, right? So let me select one of these conversation, and providing a test device is the only way that we can resolve this ticket. So I'm going to select that conversation, click on generate, and the single line that we provided is formatted into a resolution. You can also choose to, change the length, make it more elaborate. And if you can even provide the resolution as part of different conversations, step by step across multiple emails, even such cases can be handled using Resolution Assist in Service Desk Plus. And of course, if you want to generate the resolution on the spot, you can also use prompt-based Resolution Assist. Now, the other part is providing the resolution is one part of the resolution journey. As part of your broader knowledge management practice, you would want to add it into your KB within Service Desk Plus and publish it for all the end users, right? So you would be able to do that by clicking on generate resolution. So this is solution generator. Again, you can choose to generate solutions that are published as part of your knowledge base from within conversations, through conversations or selected conversations. Let's change the length, make it more elaborate. And you can also go ahead and change the type of this solution, whether it needs to follow an FAQ format or a how-to guide format, right? And when you click on add generated resolution, the title, content, and the keywords are automatically added into the new solution tab. Now, this is one avenue to publish solutions. The other way is to open up solutions entirely. So let me open up this tab. And what happens is within solutions, you click on new solution, navigate to solution generator, provide your prompt and generate the solution. So this way, all of the different content heavy tasks, right, from drafting replies to filling out your notification content to writing resolutions, publishing solutions, all of these tasks can be accelerated using some of the GenAI capabilities. Now, once the solution has been provided, we would have to have some kind of a post-incident review. I'm not sure how many of your teams practice incident post-mortems, but that is a good best practice to adopt because you would know what exactly went wrong. And in Service Desk Plus, we have something called post-incident review widget, which can be used to generate PIRs for every ticket. Now, do note that this is not provided by default within the application, but it can be accessed through the Manage Engine marketplace, right? So this is a post-incident review, and you get a time-stamped timeline of events when every update happened, what are the observed symptoms, the root cause, the impact. And again, all of this content is entirely based on the inputs I provided. So that's why you would find a lot of it being generic or just very abstract. But if you having a real life incident, depending on the data that you provide, the post-incident review would be a lot more comprehensive. So how do you install this post-incident review widget? For that, let me once again step back into the setup panel. And right under apps and add-ons, we have extensions. So extensions are accessed through the Manage Engine Marketplace. If you're not already aware, we do have a marketplace for Manage Engine where we publish different extensions, uh, let them be widgets or integrations with other third-party applications. You'll be able to install them right from over here. And this is the post-incident review widget. All you need to do is click on install and just go through the confirmation message, click on install to access this particular capability, right? So that is all about the post-incident review. Now let's step back into the slide deck we've had. So we have been helping technicians gain context immediately. We went through all of these different capabilities. Let's also discuss how process owners can benefit from the high value AI capabilities in Zia. Now, who are process owners? These are basically your incident managers, your IT asset managers, your problem supervisors, those who implement and design ITSM practices. You won't deal with tickets day in and day out. Rather, you design the workflows that those tickets should follow. Now, how do you typically build workflows in ServiceDesk Plus? You would relate to a drag and drop interface. You bring nodes onto the canvas, connect them together, and process your tickets, right? What if I tell you that you can now generate workflows with prompts and probably within a couple of seconds to 5 seconds? Sounds interesting, right? So let's quickly see how that works. So we'll step back into the setup pane, and under automations, we have workflows. So let me open up the incident workflow. Let me click on new workflow. We're going to call it the general incident response. Think about the objective of this workflow. It needs to just filter out high priority incidents, notify someone or deal with them a separate way. And for all the other types of incidents, you just notify the technician who has been assigned to it and ensure that they are resolved. So let me click on next. Now, there are two ways to do it. One is the classic way where you drag and drop nodes, map out all the statuses, the conditions, the different kinds of actions that you would want to perform. And then there is the latest Ask Zia Workflow Assist. So what I'm going to do is I'm not even going to type anything out. I'm just going to click on Upload Image. And here is a custom workflow image that I created on a different tool. And I'm going to ask Zia to recreate this workflow. That's the only prompt that I provide. And if in case the image isn't visible, it's simply if the priority is high, notify the site manager. If it's anything else, process it, ensure that it is resolved right. Now, Zia would understand or process this image. It would first build up a summary of this workflow, and it would ensure that this entire workflow is replicated right away. So you can see that Zia has done exactly that. For high priority tickets, it has notified. And for different other, if the issue is not resolved, it has chosen to escalate issue. It has added it as a task. So depending on its understanding of the image, it immediately created a workflow. Now, you can also choose to generate workflows by providing detailed prompts. We'll come to it a bit later. Let's talk about some of these exclamation icons over here. Now, the Ask Zia Workflow Assist capability does not generate an end-to-end automated workflow right away, but it can take you about 60 to 70% of the way, right? Think about very large workflows. Think about workflows where you want to process onboarding tickets. You might have them as part of your Visio tool. You can probably have flowcharts as part of your organization, or even you can have it on paper and later scan it. All of those images can now be processed and converted into workflows in real time. But there are some details that Zia would lack, right? It would not know who to notify, or what it has to be the subject of the notification, and what has to be modified, and so on. So we can auto fix those situations. You need not provide those information manually. Zia can autofill all of those missing gaps. Let's see how that happens right now. As you could see, Zia has notified the technician, provided the subject line, and generated its own message depending on its understanding of the workflow image. Now, you need to be very clear about what are the objectives of the workflow, and as depending on the more specific information that you provide to Ask Zia, it can ensure that these nodes are filled up the right way, depending on your unique needs. And if it's all right, if you don't want to change anything, you can just simply go ahead and click on select, and you'll see that the exclamation icon has just disappeared, right? And that's one way to auto fix it. You can also simply ask Zia to describe this node, and it will tell you what is exactly the functionality that is being achieved over here, right? So let's give it some time. Let's see what it comes up with. And as you could see, Zia is right now concerned only with this particular task node that is on the workflow. We'll give it some time to summarize. So it tells you what is the purpose, what is the context, what exactly this action does. You can even ask it to summarize the entire workflow too, right? Where this would be helpful is, for example, you might have your different departments like facilities, HR, who are also using similar incident response workflows, right? You can use the summary over here and then provide it as a prompt in a different instance. Or if you have built a workflow by dragging and dropping nodes entirely end to end, the perfect workflow for your use case, you can generate a summary for those completed workflows as well. That would also help as they have to replicate them, right? So these are some of the possibilities and use cases where Workflow Assist can step in. Now, again, like I said, this really pushes up the productivity levels for process owners. Now, this is not just restricted to incidents. You can also have Ask Zia generate. Let me just provide a sample name. You can also ask Zia to generate workflows for request problems and so on, right? So, and please note that in Workflow Assist, you have the choice of LLM provider, but Zia LLM, which is our native LLM, does not support image processing yet. So to upload images and convert them into workflows, you would require either ChatGPT or the Azure OpenAI integration, and ensure that the LLM, the model of your choice within those integrations, support image processing capabilities, right? Now, one of the major blind sides or blind spots that incident managers have is typically predicting what is exactly a problem. What are all the incidents that have a common root cause? Until now, you would have to do it all manually, but through Zia's problem predictions, you would be able to understand what are some of the potential problems that have a common root cause. So what Zia does over here is that it clusters similar incident together depending on their subject and description, and it will, show you a notification about a potential problem. So I think I'm having some internet issues, but we will give it some time to load. What happens here is you would get a list of all the incidents that you have, and a lot of things are similar, and have the opportunity to associate it to an existing problem or add them all and associate them as part of a new problem. So let me quickly refresh the screen. We'll just give it some time. So let me click on notifications. We have the potential problems detected notification. Let me probably select some of the other incidents. Yeah. So all of these incidents are clustered together, and you can associate them to a new problem or associate them to an existing problem. And even that association is intelligently suggested by Zia. Now, all of this is based on the training data set that I provided, but if your service desk instance is heavily used for incident reporting, and if you have enabled problem prediction, you can ensure that this up about potential outages or even root causes that you never know you had, right? So how do you set up problem predictions in the first place? Let me get back into the setup panel. And once again, under Zia and artificial intelligence, we have the predictive features. So you need to have a minimum incoming request threshold of 25 requests, and it can go up to 250 requests, but the recommended threshold is somewhere between 25 or 30. What happens is if Zia identifies similar tickets based on the subject and description, it will point you to a potential problem. You can even choose to have different technicians be notified of potential problems as well. And the other capability is simply to run these predictions manually by yourself as well. So that is also possible through problem predictions. Now, the other significant ITSM practice that is a challenge for most IT service management teams is implementing changes. For some time, changes with the best of intentions almost always lead to outages when you do not have the right risk perspective, right? So in Zia, in Service Desk Plus Cloud, we have change risk predictions as well. So let me quickly open up a new change template. And this change is going to be about migrating on-prem apps to the cloud. Let me quickly fill this out. Now, when I try to define the change risk, I automatically have predictions sent to me. Now, of course, again, a disclaimer here, these change risk predictions are dependent on the underlying data. As you have more of your changes recorded in Service Desk Plus Cloud, as you provide them with the right change risk values, you'll be able to ensure that the ZIA predictions work well. Now, what are the other capabilities that process owners would expect out of Zia for accelerating their productivity? You ask. One of the major areas where we find process owners dealing with is typically customizing Service Desk Plus to the last mile. So you might have templates, or you might have unique automation cases that are not covered by the automations available as part of the UI, right? So you would typically achieve it through custom scripts or custom functions. Now, some of you have become accomplished with JavaScripts and deluge scripting for custom functions, but some of you might have had to reach out to us to build these bespoke automations, right? Today, we have code generator and script generator to help you out. So let me quickly walk you through those. Over here, we have the service category. So let me open up one of the service templates we have. So let me open up user access request and the ERP access request. Now, typically, you would be using a lot of form rules to customize and automate this template. And as part of it, you might want to execute some kind of an automation where, for example, you have to show a disclaimer message. In this case, if an end user requests access to multiple applications, you would want to execute a JavaScript that showcases a warning message, right? Now, if let's say you do not have any knowledge of JavaScript, you can make use of the Zia code generator functionality. So let's say display a warning message if the requester requests access for multiple applications. So that is the case that we wanted to discuss, right? So let me click on generate, and immediately the JavaScript snippet is generated that I can use as part of the form rule. Now, please note that whenever you generate any code with LLMs, please review that code, ensure that it works, do the right checks, quality checks on it before you deploy it into production. Right? So this is one of the capabilities. The other capability is, let's say that you had the same requester log tickets repeatedly, duplicate tickets. You might want to write a custom function to probably stop them from creating any further requests on the same subject. How do we handle this? So let us get into custom functions available in developer space. Let me select new custom function and click on the Zia code generator. So let me see if I have a prompt. Yeah. So the prompt is close every third ticket from the same requester if the subject lines are identical and if it happens within 24 hours, right? Let me click on generate. And what happens is the deluge code gets generated automatically. Again, this code is of course generated by LLM. So do the right QA checks before you use it as part of your triggers or your workflows. Now, That's not all there is. We just have a couple of more capabilities to discuss before we wrap up this session and dive into the Q&A. So let me get back into the deck. So we discussed how we can build workflows. We discussed about predicting potential problems, predicting the change risk values, and even generating code, right? Now, how do you know what is the extent to which the adoption of the high value AI capabilities in Service Desk Plus are? We have a Zia dashboard dedicated for it. So it's part of the home tab. So let me just quickly walk you through it. If you get into dashboard, Zia dashboard would now be available. And this would help you to track the number of predictions that are run and which GenAI capability has been used the most, even a summary of the total sentiments that are associated with your service desk. Of course, ensure that the green bar always stays ahead. And of course, the token consumption per user. This can also be tracked on entirely across all LLMs, or it can be narrowed down to particular LLM service providers, including Zia. So this would get you an understanding of how your the AI capabilities in Service Desk Plus Cloud are used in your organization. And if you find that some of these features, the usage trends go up, you can probably double down on that and see how you can improve the adoption. And like always, if you find any of these features interesting and if you need any enhancement from our end, please do give your feedback to us. We'd be happy to share them with the engineering team and have them develop these features for us. Right? And now, getting back to the Ask Zia interface. We have a couple of more capabilities that can really help you to make the most out of Service Desk Plus. That would be the Help Center. Now, let's say that typically, if you would want to, have a use case that you cannot really wrap your head around within Service Desk Plus, you would typically log a ticket, reach out to our account managers, part of our customer success team, and help them navigate through the use case, right? Now, you can provide such use cases or your queries to Ask Zia. It will, through retrieval augmented generation, identify help articles that we publish within both Pitstop and help.sdpondemand.com and help you to understand what feature can help you out and how to implement it. So, as an example, let me say uh, I'm looking to onboard employees. By creating a ticket in the HR instance, I would need to create child tickets across different instances. And I'm also looking to have the new employee get added into Entra ID. How do I proceed? So let me provide this query to the Help Center, which is part of Ask Zia. Now, what happens here is Ask Zia immediately provides me with a step-by-step instruction on how to go ahead, starting with creating the service request template in the HR instance to configuring the workflow automation. What are the nodes that I should add into the workflow? How should they be split across for different parallel tasks that need to be allocated to IT, facilities, and legal? How do I add a user into Entra? And it can also cite the source for this particular answer where it has summarized everything. So let me click on one of them. So it will actually take me into that particular article published in Pitstop. And you can see this is actually a very helpful article detailing out all the different use cases for Zoho Flow actions in Service Desk Plus Cloud. So this way, it helps you to deeply understand the different functionalities and set them up by yourself so that the time taken to production is reduced by a margin, right? The other source would probably be another Pitstop article, but if in case it's required, it would also cite the help article as well. So that is all about the Help Center. Now let's dive into Analytics Plus. Some of you might be using Analytics Plus integrated with Service Desk Plus. And if you are an SD admin, if you have a subscription with Analytics Plus and you have both of these applications integrated, you would be able to use Ask Zia within Analytics Plus as well. What happens here is that let me quickly ask it to generate a dashboard of all SLA violated requests, and they need to be grouped by the technician. So let's see how this works. Immediately, Ask Zia is able to generate a dashboard on demand. And this is about the SLA violated request based on the groups. But let me try it out again, probably this time with SLAs resolved within the right timeline. So let's say resolved requests by SLA violation. So depending on the prompts that you provide, Analytics Plus will be able to provide you with either the metrics and the dashboards, and you can also group them by either the groups or the technicians as well. Once again, this dashboard is a bit skewed because the underlying data is very vast, right? That's the reason for it. But you'll be able to generate such on-demand dashboards within Ask Zia in Analytics Plus. And if you are an incident manager or an IT service desk manager, reporting these metrics to your C-suite is probably part of your daily work, right? So this is where this particular integration would come in handy. So that brings me to the end of this session. Let me quickly go over some of the capabilities we discussed just as a wrap up. So how would you enable most of these AI capabilities in ServiceDesk Plus? It's by accessing Zia and artificial intelligence. The Ask Zia conversational interface is enabled within the Zia chatbot and within chatbot customization. The other AI features across different ITSM practices can be enabled from over here. And for the generative AI features, you do have the option to choose different large language models. It can either be the Zia LLM powered by open source models or either ChatGPT and Azure OpenAI, but just one of them can be integrated at a time. Now, you might be wondering, why did we call this session as high value AI in Service Desk Plus? All of these AI capabilities are available at no additional cost apart from your subscription plan, right? So please go ahead and try them out today. Let us know your feedback. Thank you so much for being very patient and taking the time to attend this session. Yes, we will be sharing a recording of this session to all the attendees and registrants. We will be notifying you via email about it. Thank you so much. And in the next episode, we would be covering some of the features and capabilities that we are brewing back home for you. Right. So until then, it's goodbye from the Service Desk Plus team and me, Siddharth. Thank you so much. Have a nice day, everyone.